Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to another episode of Always Almost There, Day After Show Live. We're here. I'm joined with my good friend Matt from Math, and we are going to talk about Boston Night 2. We're here. We're ready for the third show tonight. Matt, how are you doing? You're on mute. Matt, you're on mute.
That's not the start I wanted. Thank you. Doing all right. Happy to be here. Thanks again for having me on. And we'll see. This has been fun. Enjoying the city here. I spent a little time in Boston, but absorbing it a little bit more now for sure.
Amazing. Yeah, it's been a great couple of days. Weather's been absolutely perfect. Show's been a lot of fun. So tell me about your experience. Let's start with pre-show vibes. Where your spot was last night. How were you feeling before the show?
It was weird. I'm definitely one of those kind of nervous pre-show people, and just try to kind of say, it's okay, let it come to me. And wasn't really doing much in the area. Just kind of got in right around a little before showtime. Was on the floor, but wanted to check out the environs a little bit. I was up on the roof a little bit the first night. Wanted to see what that was like beforehand. So I had a couple friends that I met there who were on the second level, but wanted to check out what the other levels were like in case I felt like wandering. But pretty mellow, but like super looking forward to just hearing more in that room.
Absolutely.
What about you? What was your pre-show like? Were you?
Well, yeah, Neil and I, we were in the same spot, Trevor side mezzanine as we were last night. We actually ended up going up to the 300s for the second set. Get a little different perspective. There was a ton of space up there. Last night was a little undersold. Tuesday night right after a long weekend, so makes sense. But yeah, I was just feeling good. I was excited. Going into last night, I was just hoping that we would get a jam. That's what I was looking for. I said on the pod yesterday, like they showed on the first night on Monday that there were just these little sections of really good jamming, and so I was waiting for and really hoping for some of these sections to get fully explored last night, which unfortunately, as we'll get to, didn't really happen. But let's dive into the show here. We'll talk first few songs here. Dr. Darkness, Switch, and Atlas Dogs. Matt, your thoughts? You're on mute again.
Oh, all right. Sorry. I like switching. I like. I'm not a big Dr. D fan, but the room liked it. I was somebody joked on Twitter that this was a kind of the set list of the show you maybe want before you go. And for the first couple songs, I could see that if you were into like 1920 Goose. I like the mood for Dr. Darkness. I think it kind of fits the room a little bit. And I really felt that switching was nice to see the Schofield West Montgomery nod early. I think Rick's been doing a lot of that chord jamming where he's not necessarily doing a lot of leads out front when it comes to either the jam part of the song or the solo part of the song rather. And I found that switching's a nice way to kind of get into that early. You had referenced once, and I keep thinking about this. All right, when he's doing that, listen to Peter's tones. Like that's it. That's an indication for me when Rick is just playing chords as opposed to lead kind of. And so switching really brought that for me, which was nice to kind of get me skipping around, get me moving.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I love this. I love this. Sorry. Atlas Dogs?
Yeah, Atlas Dogs, I kind of felt it coming a little bit there. I'm like, are they jamming out the beginning of this? And, I like the treatment. Not my, favorite, on the list. But I like, they're confident.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, this was a good opening trio for me. Switching was great. Also, shout out to Neil. His first switching. Neil loves that song, calls it as the opener for every show. So it was his first one attended.
Wow, that's a surprise for me. I think of it when he plays it too. A friend of mine that I was with last night also mentioned that, like, oh, I'd love to hear that one. And so that was
it was great.
Didn't know that was his first. Nice.
And then the Atlas Dogs intro, we joked when it started. I was like, oh, are they playing the other one?
Nice.
They go right into this little jam with like Cotter at the front with like the primal beat of Atlas Dogs.
It was a little thatchy, really I thought. at the beginning. And when I listened to it the second time, I didn't really get that. But in my notes from the show, I was like, okay, it sounds a little bit of that. Sure. I don't know, syncopation maybe.
Yeah, I just thought it was really cool. We've seen them do this with Arcadia a couple of times, and I absolutely love this kind of intro jam idea. Get the band a little, warmed up, do something cool and different. So I would love to see this happen more, whether it's with Atlas Dogs and Arcadia or if they start working it into some other tunes. But I think this is a really, really cool idea. Unfortunately, no jam on the Atlas Dogs, but this intro was really cool. And I hope we see it again. Next up, next two songs here, Cali Magic, Time to Flee, and we'll talk Silver Rising as well. Matt, your thoughts on these three?
I think I don't know if it's a nod to setlist construction, but that they're seemingly actively involved in not doing things the way they always do them. I like having, I like having the Atlas Dogs and Silver in the same set. Theme-wise, I think those two songs have a lot, in common, to me. It kind of took until Flee for me to get like some gas in the room in the jamming. There's a little tension there. It felt not really forced, but like, okay, we need to go and try to get this going. I'm not sure if this is a result, a product, or has nothing to do with it, but it might just be me, but I'm having a hard time finding Trevor's like tone. I can feel it. I can sense the wobble, but it's hard to hear like what effects is he using. And I don't know if that's just me, but like looking for a sweet spot in the room. And I think that Flee with Trevor like was the first time I'm like, okay, like it's nice. If not clear tones, like I like what he's doing. Which has been a steady since Cotter's been here, that Trevor's been.
Yeah, and I thought Flea, went to some really cool places. There's that one segment in the middle where Peter's doing that like really cool textural thing on the clav. Like it's like just filthy tone, a lot of reverb as he's been doing with that lately, and just playing these big chords. Not like the staccato stuff that we'll hear in Echo a bit later, but just these textures of clav were so cool. And again, this is that pocket of jamming, from this first set. Pretty much, the only real like extended part of jamming in the first set. And I was really hoping that, okay, like maybe we'll get a big Flea here. But, then they pulled it back in, nice peak. But again, we're seeing glimpses of this really cool stuff. It's just, they need to spend a little more time there, I think. I don't know if it's a conscious choice they're talking about, or they're just, not jamming as much right now. Which is funny considering what they did on Sunday. But
I haven't seen the set list from the band, but was it that busy in the first set? Like 9-10 songs, whatever, like that was the intent.
I think Rum was an audible, if I remember correctly.
Yay. Now we'll get there.
Yeah.
It cooks the room. I mean, what are you gonna do? Like
and then Silver Rising was always great. And then we get the debut of My Mind Has Been Consumed by Media, another swimmer tune coming off the bench. Love this one, a little bit of a Devo vibe, a little 80s.
I wrote Pat Devo Tar King Heads.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, no, go for it.
I like this one. Super short. Definitely has some jam potential to it as well. But catchy, high energy. I'm in.
I mean, I was a little cynical. I'm like, why do all Cotter songs sound like My Sharona? Like, I don't get it. And then when I listened back again, I'm like, okay, I like this. It's cool. It's kooky. But musically, it's good. I don't like the shave and a haircut ending, but other than that, it was it'll get better with more listens, I hope.
Sure.
I liked it in the moment because I want to hear him do his stuff, but I'm like, what is this? It's like, okay, I got to be ready for that. I can't let the expectations of knowing everything go in.
Right.
A couple people, Niche, give him a shout out, is one that's like, I'm looking to hear new songs this week. And I'm like, what? And, I get it because the Cap run, when they did that was really fascinating. And I think it's a pleasure to be able to see the first run through of some of these things. I think Dean said that yesterday or the other day. Like, it's nice to be able to see the first time out with these songs and wonder if they're going to come back or not and in what form.
Right. Agreed. Then we get Yeti Butter Rum to close out the set. Yeti kind of a different jam here than we're used to. The kind of a Loves a Battlefield-y kind of theme, chord
Yeah,
progression
I
in
wrote
there?
something down there. It was like, we'll feel it now in that breakdown kind of like where they sort of, I
Yeah,
like,
similar kind of like synthy.
I like that they're trying something different.
Yep.
I'm wondering if the song is getting stale to Trevor, because it seems like not that it just seems like, okay, he's got his parts, and then it's, a little perfunctory. And I think they've totally, since Fox Yeti, which I don't think you're a huge fan of as others, right?
I'm a huge fan of the Fox Yeti, just not in the context of the Jam of the Year.
Not of the rest, yeah. But I think that one kind of changed things, and since then they've sort of readdressed how they do things. And now with Cotter in the mix, I'm wondering if that again, it's staccato. I don't know if that's the right feel. It's syncopated, but like there's definitely some more of that energy that's kind of spreading around the band, and I found that they've made a commitment to Yeti.
Yeah,
and I like that. A little bit of the White Lights 21 at Legend had a little bit of a jam like that went somewhere, and this place kind of touched on it. And it's kind of what you said before with Flea. It's like, man, like you had a little opening there. Like why not just forsake whatever else is there and just go for the opening? And I'm not sure what the mindset with the lack of depth to the jamming is, but I'm not complaining. I like the jukebox stuff, to talk about another band that
I know you like
a lot of stuff. I mean, I do, man. I like a ride too, but it depends on the songs. And like I said last night, like they definitely redeemed themselves with a few numbers that they pulled out.
Absolutely.
Set list wise.
And then we get the rum to close out the set. Pretty much your standard rum at this point. Get into this kind of dark shredding, great vintage vibe work from Peter, but nothing too challenging or crazy happening here. People were having a great time. It's hey butter rum.
Yeah, I think for me, I even wrote, I'm like, all right, let's see if you guys can reinvent it again, because it was like 21, or they just kind of turned it on its head. Now it's like a jam vehicle.
Yep.
But I was kind of wondering, and then Jeff, like tambourine was good on this. It took me a while to kind of get into hearing what he was doing, especially the guitar earlier. Didn't really, I think it was Flea. I was like, why? Like I didn't get it. I mean, I know why, to free up like the Peter space, but I liked it. I liked it here, and I kind of called it like Thunder Rum at the end with Cotter and Trevor. Like it was just very boom, 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 boom. And they're starting to make the songs their own again with him, and I think it's nice to see. And it's also like, all right, it's a party here, so
there we go.
Like you said, hey, butter rum.
Hey, butter rum. Going into set break, how were you feeling?
It was a little strange for me, honestly. I was on the floor. I wanted to get closer. Was really number one priority. So just in terms of the show and what they were doing, kind of like you, maybe was hoping for, kind of the floodgate to open up in the second set and get a little more lost and break a sweat a little, because I like to dance and move around a lot. Rum did that. I get to skip a little bit, and I was like, okay, like, literally getting warmed up. So I was hoping they were doing the same. And frankly, because I didn't really move from there, because I was trying to get a little bit better real estate, I was hoping it wasn't a long break like they had the other night. And I looked down at my watch. It was like 22 minutes at that point. I'm like, okay, another minute or two. And then it seems that they were pumped.
Yeah, they did well with time management again. We got an 80-minute set one, 70-minute set two, and then a close to 15-minute encore. So, very happy with how they've been doing that so far this tour. Again, I mean, I think we'll probably end up talking about this on almost every episode, whether they do it well or not. But just, the commentary on, how it's going. But I think it's been great. Yeah, similar to you. I was just, as I said, I was just really hoping that we would get a big jam in this set. At some point, at any point, I was like, we haven't had a song hit 20 minutes in 2 nights, which is very rare for Goose, that we go multiple shows without a song hitting 20 minutes. Hot Tea was just short of it on Monday. But yeah, so we get the second set.
I'd almost rather that, if I had to choose, than just doing something and going in circles where it doesn't really go anywhere. That said, that's not really what they do. So maybe it's a choice to say we're going to play all these and try to keep it a little tighter and exercise. Like not like we're training, but like
Who
the
knows?
beginning of a
Because
long ass month.
on Sunday,
for them.
they played 36-minute jam. So
yeah, and maybe they're not happy with that. Maybe they listen back to it. They're like, wow, we got caught a couple times. Let's not do that. And then subconsciously they're just like bang, 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 because they put a lot into the set list, knowing that maybe we'll erase a song or two and move it or not. But I also think that, and if they take a song off the set list, it kind of sometimes shows up in a jam form anyway, and that happened once or twice here. So where they address something, I'm like, okay, like that feels like this particular song. So
interesting. Let's start with the first part of the set here. This excellent segment. I think I probably would have enjoyed this a lot more if it like opened a show. It was in the first set, and I didn't have like a, they started playing Echo, and I was immediately like, okay, this is going to be big. We're going out here. But we get Echo, Interlude 2, Jive 1, Loose Ends, Jive 1. Absolutely loved the way that they brought Jive 1 in, and seeing Interlude 2 is amazing because that means Interlude 3 is on the table.
And I am, if it didn't say Interlude, I would not have known that that's what that was. Even when they played it at Goose, somebody was like, they're playing the album. I'm like, I don't know. But it was definitely a space, and on my notes, I'm like, what is this? I'm like, what is this jam? Like kind of dawn, thunder, like what? Oh, it's like jive, So like I kind of caught up to what that was, but I liked how they, I like Jive 1 better and better. The Deuce for me is just like a classic, but the Jive 1 I think is getting it's fun, and I like how they treated it. Loose Ends in there is always nice to get that. It was one of those things where just like, nerdery or whatever, but like, man, I get so many Loose Ends teases, like 7 in all these shows. And I'm like, I don't even remember hearing that. And then it's like, oh wait, and then you go back and you hear it. I think I heard it proper like twice, and then now again, and I'm like, okay, it grows on me.
Yeah, I love Loose Ends, and I love the way that Rick started his solo with it, and just like did it for a minute and then played his solo, in Jive 1. It was a nice touch, always a lot of fun. But Echo really, before the segue into Interlude 2 and before getting into the Jive 1 stuff, it was really building up a nice head of steam. Peter getting into the clav, and I really thought that, like, again, like, we're taking off here. This is it. We're going big. It was not. We got the segment, but I think again this segment reminds me of something like the 311-23, like Echo, Hollywood Nights, Bob Don Echo. That was like an incredible way to open the show. But I feel like that wouldn't have been nearly as good in a set 2. And so I feel the same way about this segment here. And then we get Redbird coming up next, which is jam of the night for me. Again, great peak, great exploration. This was, I think, like to me, what felt like the worst ripcord of the night. I was listening back this morning when I was writing about the show, and I was just like, wow, like these last couple of minutes of Redbird, they're getting into a really cool like space, like getting a little dark. It's really going somewhere. And then Rick pulls them into the beginning of Travelers, which, I said in my review, if anyone read that, but, I understand how lucky I am to have been at all 3 Travelers Elmegs that they've played this year. But part of me felt last night that it didn't really have the emotional payoff or the emotional hit that Fiddlers and Forest Hills both did. Fiddlers came at the end of like that insane Colorado run, like with the huge Modavon and just an incredible second set. And they just did it as a very special encore. Forest Hills opened the second set of their biggest show to date, and it was like a huge deal. It was awesome. Definitely not worse than the Man, Adam. That one caused me like physical pain when it happened. Last night was just a little bit of disappointment. But anyway, I know I'm incredibly grateful and lucky that I've seen it 3 times. I just felt as though last night, maybe it was like a show's undersold, so we're going to drop the Travelers Elmeg as kind of like a special treat for you guys that showed up. But also part of me is like, it didn't really feel like they poured as much into it as they usually do. But again, that could be me and my jam chasing, as Neil said yesterday, and I'll wrap up and let you talk.
And this is just the Travelers portion you're talking about.
I'm talking about both. There's two songs, but I consider it one entity when they play it like this. Don't confuse that, Brendan, as me saying it's one song. It's two songs. But as Neil said yesterday, 99% of fans are going to the show and they want to hear something like this. Just really well played songs. The energy was great. And then there are people like me and who really are chasing the jams as well as the well played songs. So that's my take on it. I get how it could come off as I'm being a little bit spoiled about it, and I recognize that, but that's that's how I feel there, Matt. I'm curious your thoughts on the end of this second set.
Don't worry about the haters, man. They can be there. But no, I with Travelers, it's a little strange for me. Number one, like rare. Like I think I got it at my first or second show, and then not for a long time, not until I guess Forest Hills. Yeah. And I really, really dug it. Even though like Rick kind of blah, 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 blah from the north, like he messed up like the name of the song, like the opening line or whatever. But I don't know the words to that song. And I realized it then. I'm like, I don't know the words to that. I know Elmeg backwards and forwards and how to play it. I love it. But Travelers, like I'm just not familiar with it. I don't really dig it. However, the vocal jam in between is like why we're on this earth to witness that. I love that. Yeah. It's kind of like Give It Time when he's doing the solo along with the vocals. It's the same notes. He's like, copying himself, whatever the musical term for that is. And I just absolutely love the emotion in there. Shout out to Fran Cake. She's like, I was crying on the rail. Like they looked at me and must have seen me crying during Autumn Crossing. And I'm like, yeah, huge moment for me. And I have a picture. I should have sent it, but man, Getty during Travelers had just the lights were beautiful. I've got like a silhouette of every band member with these beautiful lights behind them. So,
I love how Getty treats a room like this where the stage is smaller, so the lights are a lot more condensed. At SPAC this weekend and in Homedale, like he has so much more space, but here it's just like condensed, concentrated, and you're just getting blasted like from every angle, which was amazing.
Because you mentioned like the room and stuff, like what's the sound like up there? Because I haven't been happy there with the sound for 2 nights, and I've been moving all over except upstairs. I've been all over the floor, and I'm like, okay, I maybe need to go upstairs. I'm calling with my son tonight, and I'm like, okay, like where do you want to go? He's like, I want to go on the floor. I'm like, okay, I don't care, but I'm like, I really want to hear Trevor's tone better, and I moved all around the floor to try to get away from the the booming sound, and barely found it, and it was frustrating. Listen to the soundboards. I'm like, I know it's there, What else? I had something. I get you with like why play these 2 songs here on this night. I did wonder about setlist construction. Like, was this on there ahead of time? Like they knew they were going to play Travelers Elmeg, and it's like, all right, then maybe it's Boston or it's their show. Pete was really digging Jeff's percussion fills in the quiet parts of Elmeg, like the real tacit parts, almost like a joke, because he was just like taking it like so seriously, and he was looking at him, and they were really digging it, and I think Cotter started picking up on it, and that was really really fun, like the doing like hitting the rim and just all kinds of banging stuff going on.
I really like some great stuff from Jeff last night, and Redbird as well.
Mm-hmm. And but I want the jam to go somewhere. I liked where Elmeg went. I have to listen to it a second time, but like the first impression was, go minor key, please. I want that. I want that arrow
jam
style.
It out,
we're going, and they touched it, and just like in a couple other ones we said, they hit that spot and then changed gears and went someplace different. And I'm wondering if that's a function of Cotter being just in the moment, and here's a little melodic riff or something, and then changes what he's doing, and then the gears have shifted, or is it just I'm not listening critically on that level yet, but I'm wondering if one has to do with the other.
Yeah, interesting. Very interesting. And then we get our Animal Encore, nice fun treat. Of course, I felt this coming. As the second set ended, I was like, all right, we got like just short of 15 minutes remaining. With the kind of soft curfew they have, but Animal was happening.
I'm
and it
barely
did.
aware of that with timing. I'm like, okay, it's 11 o'clock, so like, whatever happens from here.
Yeah, Animal was fast. It was fun. People were raging. Always a good time. We talked about not my favorite encore, especially when it goes on for this long. But I think it fit with last night. And then one of the things we talk about how they like to set up shows. A few shows in advance by like playing a song, like for example, playing Madhavan on Sunday in Homedale, and then probably playing it on Saturday at SPAC. If I had to guess, like. We're going to play that tonight so then we can play it later this week. Or
that's insanity.
This weekend. Yeah,
that's crazy. I don't think about that. Well, no, really.
And, what? And it is insanity. I am insane.
Like with Madhavan, you think that they're going to be like, wait a minute, we've got to play this at both places?
Well,
like,
yeah.
I don't know.
No, because I would
say that more with Silver Rising, which I'm like, huh? But maybe that was last year. Like,
because they played that last year at SPAC, and so you have going into tonight. I'm thinking there are so many songs on the table, but there are a lot of big songs that they didn't play at SPAC last year. And with 2 nights, I'm expecting, tonight we're going to get something like Thatch or Drip.
That's why you win at Fantasy Goose. Congrats. And why I'm like still trying to find my.
Thank you for bringing that up, because I actually forgot to brag about my Golden Goose win yesterday.
It's hard stuff. I mean, when it's whatever. You got to put effort into it, but you got to know stuff like that. Like I don't look into. What they played last year here, or what happened? What didn't they play at Leader Bank or Roadrunner? I don't do that, and probably should. But that's why I quit fantasy football.
Right.
Because
Where is Rosewood?
I thought that last night they were going to play Rosewood. Sometime in there. I thought they were getting ready to do it.
Yeah. Well, I'm ready for tonight. Frankly, I think we're going to get a big jam tonight. I think we need it. I think at this point, I feel like, it's impossible for the band not to be in the mindset like, we're going to play jam. So I really hope we get a big jam tonight, whatever it comes with. But I do know we're going to have a great time, and I'm looking forward to it. And, my 8th night in a row seeing a concert. So
that's great, man. This is
4. I finally get to have a night off tomorrow. Not that I don't love it, but I'm looking forward to sleeping.
Quick thing just to consider or put out there, because again, I know where your first few shows were, and if you don't want to talk about that here, that's fine. But like, do you think there are any I know on the Taboos tour, I think the band learned a lot from Trey and his outfit. Do you think that they are taking any cues from what that other band has done in terms of jukebox sets versus jams versus long jams as a texture of the tour? And we're going to start this way, or is it just we got to get our chops in and just do a lot of songs to get caught or more reps with them? Like, are we still doing that?
I think it's more of the latter. I don't think there's really a lot of attention paid to what Fish is.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that either. But do you think there's an influence? Like, have they been going to shows and stuff?
Yeah, no, but also because a Fish set list is decided by Trey on the spot, right? So when he does a jukebox set, it's not because he walked on stage and was like, "Here are the songs we're going to play," and they're going to be short. That's just how he was feeling in the moment. Goose, Rick and Peter are writing the set list beforehand, so that's the difference there.
Gotcha.
But all right, Matt, it's been a pleasure chatting with you today. I'll see you there soon. And everybody have a fantastic day, whether you're at the show tonight, whether you're streaming, of course. And we will see you right back here tomorrow at 3:30 to recap Boston Night 3. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And we'll see you next time.